Got the lovely Angie LeMar, comedian, actor, writer, director, presenter, producer, author. What a title.
What a thing.
Angie, thank you so much for joining us today, especially as we're celebrating Black History Month here in the UK. It's only fit that we speak to someone who's had such a huge part in history here for us, and been a legend, someone who's really been a trailblazer, an inspirer, everything great. You know, you've been a part of that journey. So thank you for taking time out with us this
Thank
morning.
you, Linda. Thank you for having me.
So
Thank
let me
you.
ask you this question. We're going to jump right in. And I'm going to ask you to take
Sure.
us back to the beginning. Let's start with childhood. You know, like what
Yeah.
is one of your fondest memories you have from being a child?
I would say for me, I love my childhood. I love being the youngest of four brothers. I love being raised in the church. My mother was an evangelist, my father a deacon. And so for me, growing up in the church was all I knew. And being around my brothers and my family was it just felt like I was protected. In hindsight, looking back, I didn't realize how wonderful it really was, just having the family around. So my early childhood was really about me being in this cocoon of love, whereby I could try and do anything I wanted to do. I think my family tolerated me for such a long time. Of this little girl is always busting in with jokes, always trying to be the center of attention, and they allowed me that. And so they spoiled me. They spoiled me.
You say you had four older brothers, right? What was
Yeah.
it like being like in that setting? Because obviously I imagine they would have been very protective of you. But at the same
Mhm.
time, was it hard for you to be heard in that group of a lot of men?
Um, I think it was definitely protection. Like no one could trouble me. Do you know what I mean? And that gave me such a sense of confidence because you walk the streets like you've got security all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, let me get my brothers, and then there would be that's Michael's little sister, that's Rome's little sister, that's Larry's little sister, Wayne's little sister, or whatever it was. It was going ahead of me, and
Mm.
so that gave me that sense of confidence as a woman, and I think it kind of prepared me to work in the not the mainstream, work on the circuit with men over the years. Men don't phase me. Men have never phased me, and I'm comfortable with them. But to be heard was everybody with a big family, you fight to get heard. You really got to get your voice in. And my thing was humor because
Mm.
I was a funny one. Myself and my dad. My dad's humor is second to none. His dry wit would have you in stitches. So it was, if you got the laugh, then you won. And I was winning on the laughs. So I could
Oh,
get.
that's brilliant. And you
Mhm.
mentioned kind of growing up in church. How did that impact your life back then and even now today?
I tell you what signed for me was how much it impacted my life was when I wrote a gospel musical called Take Me Back, and we opened it in Birmingham, and about 26 of my Sunday school friends came to Birmingham to watch it.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, because they were my first friends. I grew up in Brockley, Kojic, Church of God in Christ.
Mm.
And to this day, if I'm doing a show, the church is there. Like, I even said to my daughter, if anything happens to me, go back to these people, go back to these friends, because they will take care of me,
Mm.
because they absolutely love me. I'm not saying that my new friends who I grew up with don't love me, but I would be safe if my Sunday school friends came in and said, Angie, we have to wash you, or whatever, because I know the love that they would do it with. And so for me, my first best friend was Pamela Donaldson, who to this day, her daughter's getting married next week, and I'm going to the wedding next week, and it's like you just, those friends are unbreakable because they want you as friends without anything. And we were always miserable together in convention, in going up and down in the van, doing all those things. It was just us fancying the band members. You fancy him, no, you fancy him. Can't get no relationship, just sitting there fancying. As we spent most of our life just fancying people. So God didn't strike us down. Oh Lord.
I'm really going to struggle here. You couldn't get no relationship. We just stay fancy.
Waiting for God to find our husband at 14. Help us, Jesus.
I love that you spoke about those friendships, and I speak about when I talk to my friends, I often talk about kind of growing up in church as well, and the relationships like yourself. I've got a circle of friends who we grew up in church. We're no longer in the same church, but that
Mm.
relationship is very much there. And I think back on how safe I felt with them then. Like we could go out, and times are so different now, but we used to go out a lot, and church was never really boring for us because we had this group of friends that we were always safe to be around. Is that kind of how it was for you?
Absolutely, because if we're going convention and we're saying you're going Fentimore Road, you go, yeah, what time is the van coming? What are you wearing? And that was it, because then we could tolerate the long services because we had our tutti fruities, we had our fruitellas, we had our sweets. You're bringing those, you're bringing those, and we're all going toilet together. And when we decide to all go toilet together, we've gone for a good half an hour until somebody comes out to get us to say, what am I doing out here? What am I going to get inside the service? And then they would split us up. But we had our code. We had our friendship. And Sundays we used to decide whose friend we're going to have dinner with. So we're going to go all to your house, or we're all going to your house, or whatever. So for me, that bond, and there was never any type of treachery ever. Like the rule was that we come from here, we don't do that. And that's the bit I treasure most. As soon as my friends come around, and we laugh instantly. We just laugh instantly, like, and then we're just jumping up in the spirit in the street, or we're doing foolishness because only we understand. You know what I mean? Like if some of them are not Christians, and we're like, you have to get your heart back in. You get to you don't want dead out there and go to hell. Get inside. So, and we all know we're slowly drifting back in. We're slowly coming back home, and it's like the odd one that's out there. It's like, come back. I want to see you in heaven. Come on.
What was it? You said that you're slowly drifting back. There was a period when you kind of walked away from the church setting, though you never really left God. God was always God to you. What was it
Yeah.
that brought you back?
Well, for me, honestly, you can't. I was out of the church for about 35 years. There was a time when I couldn't stand church people. I just thought, you're such a hypocrite. What is that about? Well, God strike us down. What are you not talking about? How bad is it? I only want to wear trousers. I only want to straighten my hair. How demonic is that?
Mm.
So a lot of the church people left because it just felt too hard just to survive and live a normal life. So I always loved God. I always loved church. I always loved gospel music. That never left me. There isn't a production there you don't see us holding hands and praying. That I never left. And one day, after years, after you've drank champagne and you've partied hard and you've done it all, and somebody says, oh, guess who's here? You're going to meet them. And I'm thinking, I don't care. I don't care. Who are you? So, they go, oh, there they are, there they are. And I think they are not God. I don't worship man. I've never worshipped man like that. So for me, it got boring, and then it felt depressing, and then it felt like something is missing in my life. That joy.
Mm.
And now when I go to church, I always like my kids went to Sunday school because my mum always used to say, you are who you are because you went to Sunday school. So don't take it away from your children by not raising them in church. So for me, it was like, okay, that's it. My kids are going to church. But I loved gospel music. I loved church. And one day when I was feeling so low and depressed, and it's like the world couldn't feed me anymore. No sellout show could do it. No money could do it. No event. No PR, whatever. And when I went to church, and there's some songs that you sing that you hear and you go, boy, them songs just reach you from any point in life. And one night I was crying, very depressed about so many things were just going up and down and just not going through. And I didn't know what else I was supposed to do in this business. And this song came on, The Potter Wants to Put You Back Together Again.
Wow.
And Belinda, when I say I for that didn't get kissed in the school kiss chase. I bawled for that brokenness. I bawled for that thing that I tucked away inside of
Yeah.
me that hurt me, that I didn't do anything about it. I just said, I'm gonna leave you to God. Okay, God is in control. Oh, but it really hurt me, and you hurt me, and I feel rejected, and I feel let down, and I feel like I failed. All of those boxes were in my heart, but I
Mm.
was climbing on top of them to get through. And then one day the box just fell down, and I just broke down. And the crying, my husband came in, and he just touched me on the shoulder because he wouldn't be able to console that level of crying because he understood something was pouring out.
Mm.
And when that song played, The Potter Wants to Put You Back Together, I thought, it's so poignant. And I was talking to my mum about it, and she said, go to church and just, give thanks. And I went, yeah, I'll go to church tomorrow. I was just expecting to go to church, sit there quietly and give an offering and go home and feel better. Because I always did feel better when I went to church. And then the pastor, this an American pastor, was there preaching, and he kept talking about we need people in the industry who are writers and directors and producers to come in and write work that blesses people and blesses young women and turns their life around and whatever. And I'm like this. That's funny. I actually write as well. It's the funny thing he's saying that. And then he did the altar call, and I thought, I know that one. You're going to play a little bit of slow music, and it's all going to get emotional, and then I'm going to rise up and go there. But no, I'm sitting right here. La 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 la. And I saw my friend from church from back in the day. I said, oh, yeah, you're in the church now. So she goes, Angie, we all come home. And I was like, yeah, that's nice. And then the pastor did the altar call, left and came back and said, there's somebody here today. Today you need to give your life to Christ. You know who you are. You need to get up and give your life to Christ. And I'm thinking, boy, someone's getting called out today. Okay, it's me. Why am I standing up? Why am I walking to the altar? What's going on here? And then before you know it, I do the Savior's Prayer and I'm walking home, driving home, going, did I just give my life to Christ? Because I know that's not a joke thing.
Yeah.
I know from where I'm coming from, the day I do that is the day I do that. And
Mm.
that means I'm ready. So I drove home going, I must be ready. So I was thinking of all the things that I can't do anymore. Well, that language needs to change, actually. I can't just bawl out no big old cuss word just so like that. If somebody gets you upset, you've got to let God do it, basically, because obviously He's got a plan for you. That life isn't as exciting as it used to be. Something's missing, and absolutely, it's God. And that was it. I was out there. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. Come on, guys, you got to come to church with me. Come on, give your life to the Lord. You know, when you turn Christian, it's like the non-smokers when they don't smoke. Oh, you smoking? Oh, you're not a Christian, duh.
No, it's an amazing journey, and I love that you shared the transformation with people. Sometimes people do things in secret and they change quietly, but I feel like you're quite vocal with it. And I always look back at your life into even in your comedy, which we're going to come back to. But even with your comedy, I felt like it was always quite family friendly anyway. So
Yeah,
I think for most people, seeing you is like Angie, the church girl. I don't know if she goes church, but she's got that vibe of she's somebody who grew up in church. She's definitely, do you know what I mean? When other people were being quite vulgar,
yeah.
being a bit too explicit, that was never really you.
I
So,
couldn't. Belinda, I couldn't do it. I couldn't. It's not in my language. If you was to hear me cuss somebody, know they did something, and I've just lost it.
mm,
But you would never hear that, and that would have to be. You'd have to trouble me bad, like my children, for that to come out. And that was then. And so, for me, my mum and dad, I adore them so much. I never wanted them to feel shame. I always said my parents can come sit in the show and sit at the back and watch the show and not feel disgrace. And then one day, I done this thing where I felt like I needed to have this new type of writing, and some of the language changed a bit in one of my plays. And every time I put a swear word in there when I was writing for this character, I tried to justify the character swearing. And somebody wrote me a letter and said, it didn't feel like you. And that day, and the next day, I went back to the actor and said, cut that line, cut that line, cut that line, cut that line, cut that line. Which was really great because I got the power because I'm the writer and the director.
yeah.
And so when you can go and go, nah, what was I thinking? Was I thinking that was supposed to be edgier to get this audience or what? And then I felt let down by myself. because
Mm.
every time I heard the person swear, I went like this. Oh, I wrote that. So it's not that she's doing it. I wrote it. So it came from me.
Yeah.
So that's why the church girl in you can't, even when you're raving and there's a song. What's that song that they used to sing? Anyway, you bless me, it's fine. They used to play it in raves and people used to scrub to it. And I used to be like, oh my God, it's a gospel song. We cannot scrub to this. This is not scrubbing music. It's a gospel song. You're going to hell. You're going to hell. So it doesn't leave you, especially when you get that rooted and grounded church upbringing.
Yeah.
And that's probably why.
Can
Mm.
I, so you were the first Black British performer to perform in Harlem, in New York, right? So this is after you was doing comedy here and everything. What was it like doing comedy out there versus here in the UK? Was the audience different? And were there any challenges that you encountered?
It was very different. And because they hadn't had the Black British experience, they were just blown away by the fact that a Black woman spoke like that. So
Mm.
sometimes you've been in a performance in an audience and they're just listening and you're thinking, what's wrong with them? Why are they doing that? But they're looking at you going, you look like a Black American, but you speak like them white women that we hear. And you're doing it so well. And they're looking at you like, just keep talking. And that was the selling point over there at the time. So when I went to, uh, mm, I'm ambitious, never to give me those Sunday school quotes, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Never give me any of those, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, because I take it and I'm bossy with it. So I don't believe there's nothing I can do, I can't do. So
Yeah.
I'd go to the Apollo and find out who runs the Apollo. Chuck Sutton used to run the Apollo at that time. I got his information, went there and said, it's been my dream to play the Apollo. He's only going to say yes or he's only going to say no.
Mm.
Each one I can manage. So when he said yes and said, you're going to be my special guest tomorrow, I was like, okay, see you tomorrow. And I walked around the corner thinking, what have I just done? And they didn't just put me in like, because they got a 700 seat and a 400 seat, they put me in the 3,000 seater. So when they introduced me all the way from London, England, we have the one, the only Miss Angie LeMar. And I thought, please don't big me up so like that. Just keep it nice. Just welcome me on. And I went out and just said, hello. They started laughing. Hi. So I really played up on the British accent. But for me, I couldn't stay in Jamaica because I wanted a family.
Right.
And so every time I went out there or did stuff out there, they said, you've got to come and live here for this to work. Because
Mm.
when you disappear back to England, you're out of our mind. We're not thinking about you because we ain't got the time to have to travel you over and do stuff like that. So you'd have to move over here. And that time my son was a little boy, and I know I wanted to be married and settle down and have children because I did not want to be one of those performers who just didn't get it together and is sitting there at 50 with their drink, then their wine going, I should have, could have, would have. I got 3 children and 6 grandchildren. And
Congratulations.
yeah, I wouldn't want it any other way.
Um,
It's a blessing.
that was actually going to be one of my questions. I was going to say, like in the arts and the creatives, people often do take off to the US, whether it be New York or LA, to really develop their career. Many have done it, but it didn't seem to be a path that you were going to go on. But you just answered the question. So you prefer to have your family here? Or was it ever an option to move to the US, even as a family?
No, it just didn't come up. I knew the lifestyle in America and it was not family friendly.
Mm.
And I wouldn't, my brother lives in LA, but I still didn't feel like I'd rather go to the Caribbean and pop over to America and have America as my and Jamaica or Caribbean as my base. So for me, it wasn't a case of I want to live in America because I think you've got to be solo and tough to live in America
Mm.
and take it on. And I didn't have that. I didn't really want to be tough for America to make that break because I saw sides to America that I thought I don't want that. I don't want it that bad because you got to want it that badly. And my soul wasn't not up for sale ever, and there's certain things in your life that you think, I don't want to do that because that's not pleasing to me, my family, nor God,
Mm.
Christian or non Christian. So I kind of felt like the time I do go to America, I will go when I know that I've done enough here, and that's why I feel ready. So when I go back to America now, back and forth, I go with a different business hat. Because I'll tell you one thing, Belinda, when they got me, um, I went to a meeting and I had just written one show, Funny Black Women on the Edge, and the producer said to me, "Okay, that's good. What else you got?" I said, "Oh," he goes, "What else you got? Is this all you got?" And I remember thinking, "Feisty." But I said, "I make you right. What am I coming with?
Mm.
What have I got?" And that stuck. That's what made me churn out work on the level that I've turned it out. Here's a play, here's 10 plays, here's 4 versions of Funny Black Women, here's that, here's that. If I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write 3, I'm not going to write 2. And I'm going to discipline myself because I know the discipline of the power of the pen. So no one can say to me, "What else you got?" That
Wow.
that question stuck with me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can imagine. Like you're thinking, I'm giving you my best, and
Yeah,
they're like, yeah, and it's
and I
almost
thought,
that yeah, and's a bit rude.
it's rude. I did. I got nothing else. I got nothing else. I flew all the way here. I got nothing else. They're like, "Well, if you don't have a catalogue."
Wow. I mean, I love that even though that probably felt some kind of way at that time, what it made you do. Because sometimes people say stuff and we get in our feelings and, we get a little bit upset about it and then we just dash through everything. Whereas it made you go in the opposite direction. Now, I've had the opportunity to see you in director mode. Like a lot of people, we've seen you do comedy, have us crying and bawling and stuff. As a
Mhm.
writer and director, you don't ramp.
Yeah.
You allowed me to come to a rehearsal 6 years ago when you did the Take Me Back. And I was like, who's this woman? Like,
Oh wow.
we ain't joking. Like, she's like very loving, very warm, but don't ramp. You were really, really serious. But then when I saw the production on the night, I thought, this makes sense. I see why you in that when you've got on that hat, you have to be the way that you were. How did
Yeah.
you transition into playwriting and directing? Was that something that was on your list of things you wanted to do, or
Mm.
how did it evolve?
It wasn't on my list. I thought I'm just going to be funny. Someone's going to pick me up and they're going to put me in films and they're going to put me in sitcom and everything's going to be right. Because that's the route Americans go.
Mm.
They're funny. It's like an audition piece. Then they get put in sitcoms and then they get put in films. But we don't have that industry over here. So when I used to go for auditions, I'm dyslexic, so my auditional skills wasn't great. And they'd look at me and they go, "Oh, Angie, we heard that you're great, but this isn't really a great audition." And I used to think, well, I'm not going to read the thing when I'm doing it. So obviously going to learn the line. So allow me now. But they didn't give you that space. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do that's going to put me in front of the stage, not just doing stand up, which will allow me to perform? And then I wrote Funny Black Women on the Edge. And when I wrote Funny Black Women on the Edge, it blew up. Here in Edinburgh Festival, come back here, Theatre Royal Stratford, sell out, sell out, sell out, tour, sell out. And I thought, you know what? No one didn't say who wrote this. Are they dyslexic? They
Mm.
laughed and they enjoyed it. So I thought that gave me confidence to go away to learn to write. Because when I used to send ideas in, they used to say it lacks structure or there's no plot. And I used to go, what are they talking about? It's funny. So I had to go away and learn what is plot, what is structure, what is characterization. And then I got the play up. I can't afford the directors. So now I'm thinking, well, who's going to direct it? Me then, innit? Okay, well, stand there, face that way, speak loud so they can hear at the back. That was my early directing skills. And then I went to learn to do directing. Then I went to learn to do lighting. I went to learn to do stage set, the whole lot. So that when I'm in a room, no one can talk over my head because they bring in other people to do the job and they charge a lot of money. And you're thinking, wait a minute, I could have done that, or I could have got, no, I'm paying you for that. I can do that. So I wanted to do everything. Even if I didn't do it, I would know the conversation to have with you so that you would be able to know that I know what I know. And that's what I learned. And then I realized that the reviews, these people ain't ramping. So when I get actors, I don't want to leave them exposed.
Mm.
I have to say to them, no, it's all right for you to be up here doing whatever, but they're going to get me. If you do my lines and mess it up, they think I'm a bad writer. But it's you that mess up the line. You're not
Mm.
messing up my lines. We're going to learn and get it right. And I like to work with actors who've never done it before because I don't believe everybody has to go through stage school. I don't believe everybody has to come through that route. I think you could just be talented, but need someone to able to bring you to that natural place. You know, when you saw Marcia in Take Me Back, I met Marcia. She was doing some work on a door, and I said to her, she was so funny and vibrant. I said, "Have you ever acted before?" And she said, "No, but it's been her dream to act." So I said, "I'm going to have something for you." And then when I had finished the play, I called her back. She came to the audition. She was lost, poor girl. She was so lost, like, "Angie, I can't do this." I said, "If you trust me, I'll get you there." When she was on the stage, we couldn't get her off the stage. We couldn't get her. It was like Marcia and cut. Marcia. And she, oh, bless her, rest in peace, because she got to live
Mm.
her dream. She did, and I'm so glad to be able to have facilitated that for her.
She was amazing in it, actually. It was a great loss, a great loss. But yeah, I'm glad that you do that, and that you've even said that because, there could be someone listening now thinking, I want to do this path, but I can't afford drama school, or I can't afford this and I can't afford that. So knowing
Yeah,
that there's actually people out there who are willing to really help them navigate through a different way to the standard path is amazing. I know that you definitely have a heart for that. Um,
yeah,
Before we get into other projects that you're going to have, you did your final bow the other day.
yes.
Where are you going, Angie?
You know what? When people say to me, "Final what?" I'm like, I don't actually do stand up anymore. Do you know what I mean? And the level of work it takes to be out there as a stand up comedian and be on it as a stand up comedian, you've got to be really focused like that. You know, you got to be in the news, you got to be there, you got to be on the circuit. And I'm not, I don't even do it I don't do it. I might do a friend's party or 60th or something like that. And then I remember when Felix Dexter passed away, and I remember going to the hospice to see him, and he was there, and I was saying to him, I was so fast with this, and I know people might have been upset, but I couldn't help it. I said, "Where are you with God, Felix?" And he was like, I'm sorting it out. I'm sorting it out." And I said, "Yeah, do so." And I just remember walking away thinking, that's how you go. Nah. When the time comes, I'm going out the final bow, mate. I'm coming out big. I'm taking my bow. I'm going to take control of the narrative. I'm not just going to dwindle away as a stand-up. I'm going
Yeah.
to, and honestly, it was so beautiful that when I was on the stage, I kept thinking, okay, this is it, right? And then I thought, I've enjoyed stand-up. It's nearly 40 years. When people go, how long? I'm like, I'm 58. I've been doing it since I was 19.
Wow.
It's a long time to be doing that thing and you don't have to do it. You can end it, or you could come back and go, you know what, maybe I could do the Palladium for my 60th.
See, that's what
I'm
I think's gonna happen. I'm like, she's final bowing, yeah, yeah. Angie's coming back. But then I think one of the beauties is because you are funny anyway,
Mhm.
we don't necessarily have to catch you on stand up to really enjoy your joy and the humor that you bring, which has been amazing. So you've done your final bow to stand up. What
Yeah.
is next? I know you have other things on your agenda.
Well, at the end of this month, I leave to go and live in Jamaica. So the 30th of October, I go to Jamaica. I'll be based there. I've got a play that we're filming next week called Siblings. It's my first play that will go on online, but it might go into the theatres next year. But most of the work's going to be available online for my straight to audience productions. And like the final bow, all filmed. I've been filming my career for the last 30 odd years. So there's going to be this kind of website that has Take Me Back on it. You've got behind the scenes, you'll even have a reality show. So we're not playing on what we're presenting. And then I've got 3 books coming out, kids' books, because I've always wanted to write children's books. Because sometimes I read my children's books to the kids and that, and I'm like, how come this finished so quick? We want more. And they used to love my humor, you know? They used to love the fact, Grandma, that's not in there, that's not written. But I'm like, I'm dyslexic, I'm making it up. So just chill out. And especially my grandson Marley, he's like, Grandma, that's not what it says. It doesn't say that. And I say, you're so bright, you know? So I said kids' books. So I've got 3 kids' books coming out, Audacity and Tenacity. They're 2 little girls who just have the audacity to have ideas and the tenacity to make it happen. Then you've got True and the Green Lizard, just about my daughter in Jamaica. And I love reading, just not out loud. It's about a little girl. Her name is Angela, me, who cracks jokes to get kicked out of school and loves reading, and but just doesn't want to do it aloud. So all those things have been in my heart for years. And when I was in Jamaica last year, I just said, you know what? Start writing the children's book. So that launches the end of this month.
Oh, brilliant for Black History Month as well. I absolutely love that. Angie, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, catching up with you. Before I let you go, I was going to say one question, but I've actually got 2. If you were to go back to 16-year-old Angie, last year in school, all that kind of stuff, what would you say to her?
You're going to be all right. Even though it looks like it's hard and this doesn't work for you at school, and you're going to be all right. Everything that you have is all that you need.
Brilliant. And then to Angie as an adult, let's say late 20s, 30s, what would you say to her? I know there's a
Don't
woman right now listening who needs that word.
don't eat so much and exercise. And stick to the anti-aging cream from now. Somebody gave me advice and said use anti-aging cream from in your 20s. Don't wait till you get to 50 because you can't anti-age that. Prevention is better than cure. Don't sleep with him. He don't love you. He doesn't love you. That one is a Ginello. You know, I could be here all day.
You
Telling
know what?
that.
I'm crying here. I'm like,
Oh my
most
God.
people, Angie, they're going to
Yes.
give you a scripture.
Oh, so you want a scripture? Okay.
I want you to do what Angie LeMar does, which is makes us laugh. Thank
But
you.
live by, sorry, but do live by Psalms 23. I live by Psalms 23, the whole of that chapter. Biblical, see? Done it.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Angie,
Thank
you
you.
are absolute gem.
Thank you, darling. Bless you. Take care.